The UCAT is the most difficult test that I've ever done. Hey everyone, I'm Uwa and welcome to my very first video. Starting a YouTube channel is something that I've wanted to do for such a long time, so as you can imagine I'm really excited to get started with this. So you won't be able to see this from there, but I've got so many video ideas planned. I counted the other day and I've got about 14 total, and although my main focus is going to be about helping aspiring medics get into med school, these aren't just medicine related videos, there's other stuff on here because I also want to upload vlogs and just different types of videos. Let's just see how exciting things get and what happens in my life. Before we get started the video, I just want to say I made a new Instagram page the other day for this channel and for what I'm going to be doing to help aspiring medics. Please be sure to check that out and give it a follow. I post new stuff every single day. I also want to say thank you so much for your support. I've received so many lovely messages and so many supportive messages, and that really means a lot. So yeah, thank you. And again, last thing, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel so I can post more content for you guys. And it's really going to help my channel grow. So this video is going to be about preparing for the UCAT and how you can get UCAT ready. For those of you who don't know, the UCAT is an entry exam that most UK medical and dentistry schools use to help select their applicants and who they're going to invite for an interview. They also now use it in Australia, so if you're watching this from Australia, hi. It is a really weird test and it is quite difficult, so it's definitely something which I recommend that you put in a lot of time and effort into your practices in order to get the best score that you can, because a low score or a bad score can actually jeopardise your med school or your dentistry school applications. So yeah, just take your preparation for it as seriously as you can. Anyway, getting on with the video, here are my tips for UCAT success. So my very first tip, which is absolutely vital, is to make sure that you have and you use the right resources. This is important because having and using the right resources is going to give you a proper understanding and a thorough understanding of the UCAT, which is going to help to improve your score because you will have greater awareness of the different question types as well as what each question type across all 5 sections of the UCAT is testing you on. There's loads of different resources which you can use, but as I've said, I want to be able to help aspiring medics get into med school. And last year when I prepared for the UCAT, I prepared over a 7-week period, which I'll talk about in more detail later on in the video. And because I prepared over a long period of time, I really got to understand and actually learn what the UCAT is, and I made so many notes. Literally there's loads of notes in here. So I've made this into an ebook which you can buy from my website. I'll leave the link in the description box below. Yeah, I've compiled various notes that I've got from different resources and things that I've learned myself. These are tips and strategies which actually work and are really easy to understand, because at the time when I was writing them, I was writing it for myself, and I'm the kind of person who needs things to be spelt out so that I can understand it easily. So yeah, be sure to check out my ebook from my website. Again, the link will be in the description below. I finished my ebook last week, I published it, put it on my website, was ready to sell it, and then a couple of days ago they announced that with the 2020 testing, they're not going to allow candidates to use a whiteboard and instead you're going to have a scratch pad. So I've made those changes to my ebook and I've said when and where you can use the scratch pad within the test. It's at a really affordable price, and for what you're paying you are getting a ton of notes. I recommend as soon as you can check it out on my website and be sure to grab yourself a copy. Another resource which I recommend to help you get UCAT ready is the ICS Medical 1250 UCAT practice question book. So this book has tons and tons, 1250 practice questions to be exact, and I've got more notes that I made in here which are now all available on my ebook, so be sure to check that out. Anyway, back to the book. So yeah, there's loads of practice questions in here, and it also gives you information about the UCAT, which universities use it, about the question types, and some tips on approaching questions. It also has 3 full-time mocks. This book is really good because, like I said, there's loads of questions. It's usually about £15, but I think it was a bit cheaper last time I checked, and that could be because they changed the name from UKCAT to UCAT. So yeah, I really like this book, but the only thing that I didn't like about it is the fact that the test itself is online, and with this you're practicing from a physical copy, so that doesn't really replicate the experience that you get on the test day. You also don't have access to the online calculator or the now scratch pad that is integrated into the testing system. So I do recommend this book, but I recommend that you use it at the start of your practices when you're getting familiar with the UCAT rather than towards the end. If you already followed me on my Instagram page, you would have seen the other day I uploaded a post and I was holding 3 things which I blacked out and put question marks on top of. So yeah, now I'm going to say what those things are. I'm going to do 3, I can't hold it. I'm going to do 3 separate ICS medical giveaways. So I've got brand new copies of the 1-250 question book, a book for writing your personal statement, and a book on interview preparation. I didn't use these copies, but I did use all 3 books when I was making my own med school applications, and they were really useful. So I'm going to do 3 separate giveaways and you've got 3 chances. I can't hold it. And you've got 3 chances to win these books. These books are literally worth £15 each. Oh no, this one's worth £25, so I'm giving you 55, I think. Yeah, £55 worth of books for free. All you need to do for your chance to win is follow me on Instagram and keep up to date with my posts. Anyway, carrying on with my tips. Something you'll hear a lot about from the majority of people who've sat the UCAT is Medifire. Medifire is an online resource which has a shed load of questions. I used Medifire over 7 weeks and I did over 7,000 practice questions for the UCAT. I think I'm going to do another video on Medifire because I really loved it. And it was really good value for money. I paid about £50 for a 2-month subscription and it was a really good investment. The difficulty level of the questions are pretty much reflective of those in the day. And another thing about Medifire which I really love is that because it's an online resource, it really does emulate the experience of the day. So you've got the online calculator, and I'm sure they're going to integrate the scratch pad that UCAT and now saying is going to be in the test into their practices. And yeah, it's just altogether a really good resource for UCAT preparation. I really would recommend it where possible, and as much as you can, do your practices on a desktop, because if you do your test in the test centre, you will have to be on quite an old-fashioned desktop. So yeah, if it's possible for you, practice the UCAT on a desktop just so you can, as much as possible, emulate the experience of the day. You don't want to have any surprises on the day of your test that could really set you back and affect your score. My second tip is to understand the theory behind the UCAT. So I kind of touched on this earlier, but it is really important that you have a thorough understanding of the UCAT. The UCAT is really weird. One of the sections is called abstract reasoning, and that's you trying to find patterns from the most random arrangement of shapes. Literally, it's just random shapes. But when you read the theory behind it, you begin to understand, okay, hang on, I'm being tested on this because maybe in the future I'll have to look at a patient history and look at their diagnosis. I don't know, I'm not a med student yet. But we've got all the med schools to learn about that. For now, just understand what you're being tested on, why you're being tested, and how each of the 5 sections work in the UCAT. My third tip number 3. Learn strategies and techniques for each of the 5 sections of the UCAT. Why was I clapping? I don't know. The different question types in each different sections should be tackled and approached in different ways. So learn how to tackle and approach different question types. You can learn more about this from my ebook, link in the description below. It provides you with so many tips, and like I said, you are getting what you pay for. You're getting more than what you're paying for. So use your early practice sessions to find and to try out different strategies and to find and to try out what works for you. For example, in abstract reasoning again, some people do just see the patterns easily, it does come to them naturally, but for me, like, I'd look at it and I just see shapes. So I had to learn a strategy and learn a technique. I learned 2 different mnemonics which I've included in my ebook, and together they cover all the possible patterns that the UCAT could test you on. With the mnemonics, learn something that works for you and apply it to each of your practices. So on the day when you're presented with a question, you're just like, oh yeah, it's this pattern because I've seen it in my practices or because I know the strategy. With the UCAT, it is multiple choice, and I've watched YouTube videos and this girl was like, she got something like 860 in the quantitative reasoning section because she just picks B every time, and I was like, okay sis, that's lucky, but that's not always going to happen for everyone. So I do really encourage you to learn a technique and make sure you're comfortable applying a strategy to each question type. Tip number for is to allocate sufficient amount of time to your practices. I honestly urge you to take the UCAT as seriously as you can. 1 hour a day, every single day for a week before your UCAT test just isn't enough. Like, the UCAT is the most difficult test that I've ever done. Anybody who sat it probably holds the same view as me. It's a difficult test, it's hard. It's a difficult test and it's hard. But yeah, like I said, I did 7 weeks of intense practice. Every single day I was doing UCAT practice. About 5 to 6 weeks I was doing 2 to 4 hours a day, and that is a good amount of time. But in my last 2 weeks or so, I really ramped it up to about 6 to 8 hours a day. 8 hours is a bit too much and a bit too extreme, but I just like knowing I've done everything that I need to. There are people who I know that banged out UCAT practice in 4 weeks and got a really good score, and you can do that too, but I recommend, where possible, just put in the work and do a minimum of 7 to 8 weeks. Any more than 8 weeks though, I'd say it's not necessary, because you'd get bored and then you wouldn't want to practice anymore. So tip number 5 is to use your mini mocks and your timed mocks wisely. On Medifire you get mini mocks, which is basically the same number of questions you'd get in each section of the UCAT, just on its own as a mock. Pretty self-explanatory. But yeah, you get given the exact same amount of time as you would in the UCAT section, and you've got to answer the questions under that time pressure. I feel like I've not really stressed this enough in this video, but the UCAT has an immense time pressure on it. You get 120 minutes to answer all the questions, and the time does not get passed on from one section to the next. Bearing that in mind, I'd say do the timed practices on Medifire, but leave your mini mocks and your full-time mocks until the end of your preparation period. Tip number 6. Identify your weaknesses. Like I keep on saying, the UCAT is something that you can get better at through lots and lots and lots of practice. So in your practice sessions, make a note of what you're getting wrong and make sure you make the conscious effort to improve on this. Always read the feedback for questions, even if the questions you're getting right because you could have got it right by chance, or the feedback might tell you a strategy that's much more quicker and much more efficient, because with the UCAT it's all about time. With the mocks, they do give you a score, which is good because you have an idea of how you're going to perform on the day. But take these with a pinch of salt, as they're not always accurate. Don't focus on the score you're getting, focus on which questions you are getting right or wrong. I cannot stress that enough, because you are not going to improve your score if you don't practice, if you don't focus on the questions you're getting wrong. So my 7th tip is practice, practice, practice. In case I've not said it enough already, the UCAT is something that you will get better at through practice, through lots and lots of practice. Practice using the time questions, practice the mocks and the mini mocks where appropriate. Just make sure you practice to improve your score. You've heard it a million times before, probably with anything you do. Practice makes perfect. Just put in as much practice as you can for your UCAT, and I promise you, you won't regret it. Take each practice session you do as seriously as you can. Allocate a sufficient amount of time to your practices, but also give yourself breaks. Be sure that you're giving your brain a rest, because you can burn yourself out. The UCAT is hard, so it does get frustrating. So of course, practice as often as you can, but be kind to yourself. Just give yourself breaks, and give yourself time to relax and unwind. And my very last tip for you guys is don't give up. Yes, the UCAT is difficult. Yeah, you can easily feel demotivated when you get so many questions wrong, and it's just not nice. But it's important. It's a really important test for aspiring medics and aspiring dentists. It's important that you don't give up, you keep motivated, you put in the effort, you put in the time, and you just practice, practice, practice. Think about where you want to be in the future. Even in a year's time, this time last year, I was in your situation and I was practicing for the UCAT. I'd be sat here at this desk or downstairs at the desktop and I'd be crying because I had enough of the UCAT. But I didn't give up. I gave it my best shot. The outcome was well worth it. Hopefully, fingers crossed, all goes well in my A-level results. I'll be starting med school in September. So yeah, don't give up. Think about why you're doing this and think about what you want to achieve. I really shouldn't have sat on a spinny chair because I can't keep still. But yeah, thank you guys for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope it was useful. Please be sure to follow me on Instagram. It's at uwaisibor.com_. Like this video and subscribe, and if you really enjoyed it and you really want to see more from me, please be sure to turn on post notifications by pressing the bell icon below. I've got so much planned for this channel and I'm really excited to see it grow. I had one more thing to say. Oh yeah, buy my ebook. If you're sitting the UCAT this year, there's tons and tons of tips and strategies in there. They are easy to understand. It's really affordable. Buy it now and you've got it as long as you need it. Hopefully it won't be much longer until my next video is out, but yeah, keep up to date with me on my social media. Thank you guys.